Picture one of our ancestors standing at the edge of a forest, staring at the biggest ape that ever walked the earth. Not a gorilla, not a guy in a fursuit, and no, not King Kong. This was Gigantopithecus, a real great ape. It lived in southern China and parts of Southeast Asia for nearly 2 million years. And here's the wild part. Early members of our own family tree were spreading across that same corner of the world at the same time. Their timelines overlap. Their maps overlap. At one cave, even their teeth show up in the same ancient dirt. So the exciting answer is yes. Early humans probably crossed paths with this giant. But hold on, because in science, one thrilling sentence can run way ahead of the actual evidence. And we've got a problem. We have no fossil of a human standing next to this ape. No giant ape bone with a tool mark. No spear stuck in its ribs. Actually, we don't even have its ribs. What we do have is stranger. Thousands of huge teeth. 4 lower jaws. Human tools scattered across ancient China. A messy, argued about cave in Vietnam. And a narrow window of time where 2 very different apes might have shared the same forest. So the real question isn't just, did they meet? It's, what would each of them have seen? Let's start with the giant. Here's something you won't believe. Gigantopithecus was discovered in a pharmacy. Back in 1935, a scientist named Gustav von Königswald found a strangely huge fossil tooth in a Hong Kong medicine shop. It was being sold as a dragon tooth, ground up for traditional remedies. But no dragon ever existed. That tooth belonged to something very real. More teeth turned up in more drugstores. Eventually, expeditions traced them to limestone caves in southern China. And after almost 100 years of digging, the collection is impressive and honestly frustrating. We've got close to 2,000 loose teeth and just 4 jaws. No skull, no spine, no arms, no legs. Nothing that tells us how this thing stood, walked, or climbed. This is a superstar animal, known almost entirely from its dental records. But those teeth, enormous. The biggest molars of any ape ever, with super thick enamel. From this, scientists think Gigantopithecus was the largest primate we know of. You've probably heard it stood 10 feet tall and weighed 1,000 pounds. But newer estimates are lower, maybe 400 to 600 pounds. Still an unreasonable amount of ape. The truth is, guessing body size from teeth alone is really hard. And here's a myth worth killing. Artists love drawing it standing upright, like a giant hairy human. But its closest living relative isn't the gorilla, and it definitely isn't us. It's the orangutan. Ancient proteins from a tooth almost 2 million years old confirm it. This thing sits on the orangutan branch of the family tree. So picture it carefully. Not a monster roaring on a mountaintop. Picture a massive ground-dwelling ape, moving slowly through a warm, damp forest. Dark leaves shift before you even see its body. It pulls plants toward a mouth, built for hours of chewing. Fruit, stems, roots, bark. And the teeth tell us the menu. This was a forest herbivore. When good food ran out, those giant teeth could grind up tough, fibrous stuff instead. But right there hides a weakness. This ape was built for one specific world. Enough forest, enough water, enough plants to feed that huge body. And when that world started to change, its teeth could chew harder food, but they couldn't make bad food nutritious. Now, let's bring in the humans. And be careful here, because early humans gives you the wrong picture. This wasn't us. Homo sapiens probably never met this ape. The giant vanished somewhere between 295 and 215,000 years ago. Our species shows up in the region way later. The real candidates were older humans, Homo erectus and their relatives. And they got to East Asia shockingly early. At a site called Shangchen, stone tools sit in layers going back about 2.1 million years. No human bones next to them, but somebody with hands that could shape stone had already reached China. At other sites, teeth and skulls put Homo erectus in the area over 1.5 million years ago. So yeah, the giant ape and our ancestors lived on the same broad slice of the continent. But Asia is huge. Two species can share a country for thousands of years and never bump into each other. The giant loved the warm, humid south. Some human evidence comes from colder places up north. Same dates don't guarantee the same backyard. The strongest clue comes from a cave in northern Vietnam. The deposits there are around 475,000 years old, and researchers found several teeth from Homo erectus and at least one from Gigantopithecus. Same place, same time. On paper, that's exactly what we're looking for. But careful. Caves aren't sealed museum cases. Bones and teeth wash in with water, predators drag things inside, animals die there centuries apart. Two teeth in the same layer don't prove their owners ever stood there together. And identifying a single tooth is tricky. There's a famous jaw from China that was first called an early human living beside the giant ape. Later, one of the researchers decided it probably belonged to some unknown fossil ape instead. Teeth are tough. They're also fantastic at starting arguments. Still, that Vietnam cave is serious evidence. It moves a meeting from fun daydream to actually pretty likely, but it doesn't close the case. So picture the landscape. Southern China back then wasn't one endless jungle. It was a patchwork. Forests, rivers, grassy openings, limestone towers, valleys, and monsoon cycles kept shuffling it all around. The giant ape stuck to thick, closed forest. But humans? Way more flexible. They followed rivers, they worked the forest edges, they carried tools and ate almost anything, and water alone could pull their worlds together. A big ape needs to drink. So do humans. Add fruit trees and shady shelter, and both might show up in the same spot. Their paths only had to cross once, across more than 1 million years. Once is a really low bar. The first meeting probably wasn't dramatic. A human group might spot giant tracks in the mud, huge droppings, stripped branches. Maybe they hear something big crashing through the brush. Then, an adult steps into view. They wouldn't have a name for it, but they'd understand it through experience. Was it prey? Almost certainly not. This thing had the size, arms, and jaws of a great ape. Trying to spear one in dense brush wouldn't be hunting. It'd be a very complicated way to end up as a fossil yourself. And the ape had reasons to avoid us, too. One human? Manageable. But 6 humans making noise, waving tools around a fire? That's a real headache. Smart animals avoid unnecessary fights. The humans who learned to read the giant's tracks and warnings survived more often than the ones who walked up like a tourist with a phone. So what actually killed off the biggest ape on Earth? For years, we blamed ourselves. The timing looked suspicious. Humans spread, the giant died. We're really good at showing up near the end of a species' story and looking guilty. But newer evidence points somewhere else. Climate change. A huge study looked at 22 caves in southern China, and it revealed what happened. The climate got more unpredictable. Stable forests broke into shifting patches. Water got less reliable. The good, nutritious fruit got scarce. Orangutans in the region adjusted. The giant struggled. Its teeth show a shrinking diet and signs of real stress near the end. Its range shrank, its fossils got rarer. See, this ape bet everything on being a giant forest specialist. Then the forest broke the deal. And being huge made everything worse. A giant body needs a giant amount of food every single day. Humans did the opposite. Flexible, mobile, willing to switch foods and move on. When one habitat fell apart, they had options. The giant didn't. Oh, and before you ask, no, this ape did not survive to become Bigfoot or the Yeti. Its fossils are in Asia, not North America. The trail ends over 200,000 years ago. Turning it into Bigfoot would need the ape to survive unseen, cross oceans, ditch every fossil, and hire a really good publicist. So, did early humans meet Gigantopithecus? Homo sapiens? Probably not. But older humans, like Homo erectus, they lived in the same time in the same region, maybe drinking from the same rivers. We don't have a fossil that shouts yes, but everything brings them close enough that a meeting is more likely than not. They shared time. They shared a place. They may have shared water and forest edges. What they didn't share was a future. One ape survived by staying flexible. Tools, teamwork, a bigger menu. The other survived by building the most powerful chewing machine a primate ever had. For nearly 2 million years, that was enough. And then it wasn't.